Thank you for taking the time to interview me. Again, my name is John Staben. I'm running for the office of Mayor of the City of Freeport, realizing it is now a part-time job. My background is I am a lifelong resident of Freeport. Grew up here, went to high school here, served in the military, came back, worked for Newell Rubbermaid for 31 years. Was corporate manager, communications, fleet, facilities. After that, I started my own business and have been running it for 16 years. I am an employee of Judson University. I am the manager of communications there. Beyond that, in local involvement, I was president of the Freeport Lincoln Douglas Kiwanis. That's the morning Kiwanis. I have been on the Airport Commission for 5 years, vice chairman. I've been on the Planning Commission for 4 years. I am the chairman of the Freeport Planning Commission. So I have involvement in the community. I have involvement in city government. I think that provides me with enough background, both in business and in government, to make a change. I've never held political office. I did run for mayor in the last general election and lost to Mr. Getz. Jim and I are on good terms. It was a close race, but it was an education. It's what brought me into the Planning Commission, and I very much enjoy the involvement with city government. There are those who probably would not agree with that because I voiced my concerns. I believe Freeport has a future, and I'm willing to stand and say what I think. Well, Freeport has many assets. The community, number one, always supports Freeport activities. It's very positive here. Park districts, great parks. I mean, we have parks that people come from other states to visit. The city itself is still pretty much clean and in good shape. With the help of Mayor Getz, we're cleaning up the derelict houses. We have an airport, which is one of the finest general aviation airports in the region. There is much economic development possibility there. The business community in Freeport is slipping. That's something that has to be addressed. It's something that is my concern. But generally speaking, we have a very well-rounded, supportive community with many assets that could be marketed to new businesses. Well, Freeport has problems. There's no question there. With the loss of major employers, the revenue stream is way down. I'll say this time and time again, there is no money for the city to operate with. The city operates with taxes. Many people say, well, let's bring in new retail. I'm sorry, that's not going to work. With the pool of money that exists, you're only going to get so much retail tax out of that base. Crime is a concern, although as yet, we've avoided the kind of crime that is in Rockford, is in Chicago, that I fear is coming this way. But the local law enforcement organization's doing a good job to try to keep it in check. And so I foresee no real issue there. As I've said before, the mayor's done a good job in initiating the cleanup of derelict housing. That has to be done. That will address crime as well as keep Freeport looking better than it has. Generally speaking, Freeport is in good, perceptive condition. Our biggest problem is employment, and we have to address that. Well, the change to city manager is a major change for Freeport. If done properly, if you get the right city manager, he or she can make major change to the community. I concede that a mayor is an elected individual, bringing certain attributes into the old structure. A city manager is a professional When we hire a city manager, we're going to hire someone who knows how to run city government, who knows how to run a budget, who knows how to look for all of those cost reduction areas. I think it will be a major advantage to us once the city manager is up and running. The people can't expect that to happen in the first 30 days. But the committee to find a new city manager is working diligently. The timeline is very short for them. But the requirements that they put forward, if they find that city manager, I think it will be a great asset for the city of Freeport and help the city move forward. Well, the city manager question really changes the mayor's position. The mayor remains the chief executive officer of the city. The mayor will sign all of the ordinances. But the mayor becomes more a public relations individual. The mayor's job is to meet with the community, to listen to the community, and then convey what the community has to say back to the council and to the city manager. The mayor has to be an asset to the city manager. The mayor has to work with, give advice to, doesn't mean you always agree, but the mayor needs to convey the feelings and needs of the city to the city manager. Having been, in the planning commission, I work with the council. I work with other city departments, so I have an understanding and knowledge of who is there. That gives me a little advantage. But I think the key for me as city manager is economic development. I believe that a mayor can take the city's sales pitch, which has to be created, and take that out to prospective businesses. If you're going to sell the city, with the city manager in place, the mayor now has the time to go door to door, in effect, and market the city to potential businesses. That is what I intend to do. I understand that the mayor's job is part-time, the wage is part-time. However, I will be giving up my business and my position at Judson University and become a full-time mayor for a part-time wage. At my point in life, I can afford to do that. And I think that's what's going to be needed. You're going to need someone down there for at least the first year, full-time, just to help the city manager develop and make things work well. Well, Freeport still, as I said, has problems. You have to stay ahead of crime. You have to stay ahead of the gangs. It's not an easy task. It's almost impossible. But you have to focus on that, because if the gangs get a foothold here, we're in serious trouble. We're making progress with the derelict housing, with the condemned buildings. They're being removed. That's very important. I think beyond that, what we have to do comes back to economic development. You have to have jobs for our young people, or they're going to leave. With no work here, there are good businesses in Freeport, don't get me wrong, and we have to protect those businesses. My concern is that government will do something to cut costs that will impact those businesses. The mayor's job is to interact with those business owners to make sure that their concerns get back to the city so that there is no further loss of that business. But, the dollar is what the city of Freeport does not have. Government, the state government, is not passing along the money. So unless we find a way to generate our own new revenue, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. Well, the reason I'm running is I believe in Freeport. And if you listen to any of the forums on economic development, somebody has to believe. I believe. I believe Freeport can come back. I believe if we get several small businesses, we're not talking big businesses, but if you bring several small businesses in, you treat them right, you make them happy, they will convey the message of Freeport to the rest of the business community, and that will grow that business space. My vision is, I'd love to see 24 small to medium-sized businesses come to Freeport over the next 4 years. I'll be happy to see a half dozen. But that's my vision, is to grow the economic base in Freeport, and with that, everything else will follow. Well, Freeport isn't perfect. Freeport isn't terrible. Freeport's in the middle and slipping a little because of the economy. The almost best case scenario is we generate a few more businesses, we keep crime at bay, and we allow the community, because the spirit is there. There is no question Freeport has always had the supportive spirit. And let that spirit develop and grow the city. Well, I think the advantage, or what I have to offer, is 40 years in business, almost 50 years in business. Managerial. When I worked for Newell Rubbermaid, I operated a communications network over North America, U.S., Canada, and Mexico. I operated a fleet of over 1,000 vehicles. The responsibility of managing a budget of millions of dollars was there. Realizing today the city manager will do most of that. But the experience is there, the understanding of what has to be done is there. My relationships in government now, the Airport Commission. I've been on the Airport Commission for nearly 8 years. I've been on the Planning Commission for 4 years. I know what goes on. Yes, there are things we need, but I think that I have the skill set, based on the leadership roles that I've had over the years, to make a difference. What I have to offer is full-time service. I am prepared to give up my business of 16 years and my position at Judson University and move into the mayor's office on a full-time basis. I believe the mayor in this transition period needs to be full-time. Some of my competition, they have full-time or part-time jobs elsewhere. I will move into the mayor's office on a full-time basis, whatever that takes, to make Freeport better.